Welcome everybody back to Forza Horizon 5, and today we're taking a look at the 2022 GMC Hummer EV pickup. Now, production of this started in November of 2021. This is the Edition 1 trim, and it's only available in this colour. I imagine because it's the first edition and they weren't sure how well these would sell, that they were, just adamant about keeping it as simple to make as possible. But it does have a whole host of extras onto it to make it as, comfortable as possible to live with, while also being really rather formidable in terms of going off-road. So it has underbody cameras to make going off-road easier and less likely to damage the underbody of the car. It's got adaptive air suspension, 35-inch mud terrain tyres, skid plates, rock sliders, a steel underbody armour. Suspension can be raised by 6 inches. It's got a crab walk feature that you can use with its thanks to its four-wheel drive and four-wheel steering system, and it's also got the ability to ford in water up to 32 inches. So yeah, all around pretty formidable kind of features really. I'm sure there's more going on under there, but yeah, they're the main headlines, and yeah, it looks pretty good. Looks like the older Hummers, which were made under just the Hummer brand. I'm pretty sure it's now made under GMC because Hummer were obviously mothballed and completely dismantled in the late 2000s as GM was under heavy financial pressure and had to get rid of some of their brands, Hummer being one of them. So yeah, I imagine that's why it's only under the GMC brand now, but they're clearly calling it more of a Hummer than a GMC because yeah, you've got Hummer in big letters at the front there, you've got HEV there with Hummer on it as well, and then you've also got Hummer EV in big letters there again with GMC only getting that little badge at the bottom there. So yeah, definitely being branded more as a Hummer than anything else, and yeah, it's kind of living up to the tradition of the previous versions, as this weighs a massive 9,063 pounds, which is, yeah, just to put it in perspective, the Ford F-150 EV, which is hardly a lightweight, weighs 1,993 pounds less than this at 7,070 pounds. So yeah, and that's obviously got just as many doors, just as well, it's sort of pretty much as big as this, but this has clearly had a lot of engineering put into it, and it's also because it's got loads more in terms of the way of batteries, as even though it's only got it's only got 3 electric motors, it does have 212.7 kilowatt hour of battery power, which means it's got 1,026 horsepower and 932 pounds-feet of torque, which when you compare to the F-150's around 560 horsepower, yeah, that's a massive leap in power over that vehicle. And yeah, but granted, obviously it needs it given the amount of weight that it's got going on, but it's also practical as it's got a massive front at the as you can see there, which is plenty of space, and then obviously it's got a lot of space in the pickup bed, which has a cover as well, and also a little step in case you want to get up onto the pickup bed, which I quite like. A lot of pickups obviously are quite high riding and they don't have a step that comes with them, so I like that a lot. It's a neat little feature, that. And again, like the older cars, it's vast inside. In fact, you pretty much fit another car in between the two of these seats, as you can see. The gap is enormous, which you can see even more when you get in the back seats. But yeah, even though it's got a touch screen, it's nice to see that there are a lot of physical buttons there, which you kind of need when you're going off-road. You don't want to be taking your eyes off the road when doing that. Also, obviously, in terms of normal road-going journeys. So yeah, it's overall a nice interior. Everything in this about this car feels chunky. It feels tough. It feels like it could pretty much take on anything. And yeah, that's the case in the rear as well. And you can see what I mean about the space between the front seats. That's pretty much like what the Hummer H1 was like, to be honest. But obviously, unlike the Hummer H1, you don't have the engine in the middle of the car, and it's obviously not a noisy engine because it is electric, so you're not got any of that noisy diesel engine going on in there. And obviously it's going to be very clean and very easy to maintain, being again an electric car. So yeah, you could pretty much have fun with this in pretty much every kind of way, and you can also knock off the roof if you so wish. As unlike the Hummer H1, where you had to buy a separate model for a soft top, you can just take out the panels at the front and the rear, and yeah, have a nice you know, open top experience. So yeah, this car obviously has a lot going for it, but it also has a lot of concerns going for it as well. Because as I said, in comparison to the F-150, this is nearly £2,000 heavier, and that is not a lightweight by any means. And yeah, a lot of people have rightly pointed out that this weighs a lot more than any other vehicle, well, most other vehicles out on the road. And yeah, given the acceleration that this car has and the amount of power it's got going as well, you know, if you're going to hit anyone at the kind of speeds that this can get up to, then yeah, not only are you going to be in big trouble, but so is whoever's in the obviously much smaller car. So yeah, and you can obviously see the kind of instances of not being able to see anyone right up in front of you, especially children and everything like that. It's a problem that other vehicles obviously have. The F-150 has obviously got this kind of problem as well. So does the new Cadillac Escalade, and yeah, but this seems to be even more of a problem, to be honest. So yeah, but obviously that's not something we're going to have to worry about in this game, but it's just something I thought I'd mention because it is obviously a concern, and it's something that has been brought up plenty of times. But yeah, nonetheless, let's get out onto the open road and see what this car can do. So yeah, being an EV, this obviously has instantaneous power and torque at your fingertips, and yeah, that means it's actually pretty quick in terms of acceleration, even if it doesn't have the greatest of top speeds. So yeah, let's see what it can do on this drag strip, and then we'll take it around the track. So yeah, it doesn't have the best top speed, pretty much the same kind of like the F-150, so it's only able to do 107 at the top end, but it gets there pretty damn sharpish, as you can see. So yeah, that's all we've pretty much got. 106, 107 miles an hour. Depends if you've got a little bit of an incline to be going down, that you can get that a little bit of extra power or extra little bit of speed. But yeah, it's not a you know, a sports car by any means, or even an SUV in that kind of regards. It is more of a pickup truck than, you know, your SUV equivalents. So yeah, you can compare it quite frankly to the F-150 in a lot of the ways in that regard. But obviously, unlike the F-150, this is really expensive. I think this is well over $100,000, if not more than that, which is obviously quite a lot. But granted, this is the edition one. It is the one that isn't, you know, the base level trim or anything like that. Base level trim, for instance, only has 625 horsepower, so yeah, that will be a lot less expensive to buy. But we are in low-end A-class for this vehicle, and yeah, it does have 50-50 weight distribution, so the handling is reasonably good. But yeah, the stats aren't brilliant by any means, considering the amount of weight that it's got going on. But the acceleration and launch is decent, and obviously the off-road capability is immense, given the all the extras and additions to this car that this has over other kind of pickup trucks. So yeah, it's pretty formidable in that regard. But because it's got all of this power, I really want to see what it can do around the track. So yeah, let's take a brief look at how it sounds. There's not much noise to this, unlike other EVs, but we'll take a quick look at it regardless, and then we'll talk about it some more. So yeah, considering the amount of power that this has going on for it, easily one of the most powerful EVs we've had on this game. You have to look at the likes of the hypercars from Rimac and Lotus to find a more, you know, more powerful vehicles. Obviously we have other ones as well from the likes of Neo, but yeah, still, this is easily one of the most powerful, more normal kind of cars that we've had from an electric car. And yeah, it is nice to see that GMC are embracing the whole electric revolution that is going on. I just don't think this car is the kind of thing that is really going to be paving the way for any more people getting into electric cars, due to the expense and the fact that it's not particularly going to be a safe car in terms of, you know, being on typical roads or anything like that. But it's definitely a engineering marvel, considering how much it weighs and the fact that it's able to handle that kind of weight in terms of braking and handling. And the acceleration is still pretty good as well, despite all of that weight. 0 to 60 in 3 seconds dead, and it can do 0 to 100 in 8.1 seconds, which are all really rather good, considering, like I said, the weight that this car has going on. Easily one of the heaviest vehicles that is on this game, and yeah, I thought the F-150 was a big boy, but this is, yeah, far outstrips that. But yeah, the handling is overall really good, rather good. Again, considering what it is, the size of the car, the weight of the vehicle. But yeah, you do have to be on your toes. As you can see there, I slightly clipped the wall, and yeah, that wasn't even me pushing it that hard. So yeah, it is good to see that this does have 50-50 weight distribution, considering, you know, the amount of weight that it does have going on. I imagine if this, you know, had an imbalance of weight, it would be really rather hell to drive, depending on where the weight was. If it was up front, you'd have a lot of understeer, and if it was at the rear, you'd have a lot of oversteer. But because it's balanced, it's yeah, really rather reasonable in terms of handling. So yeah, no speed machine overall, and yeah, this is certainly not going to be a car that is going to be probably well liked online racing, but in terms of online racing. But yeah, I still overall rather like it, and yeah, outside of its safety concerns, there isn't much else to really, you know, hate on this car. So yeah, you can get this car by getting 20 points in the festival playlist. Easy enough to get. I got it in half an hour, as per usual with the 20 points. 20 points is not much to get at all, and yeah, it's well worth getting, because oh yeah, I just saw the four-wheel steering there. I did not see that. You can see it. That's even more pronounced than with other vehicles. Just a shame we can't do the crab walk feature on this game. But one thing we can do on this game is take the top off. Oh, we'll have to go actually out of the Rivals event. But yeah, like I said, you can get it for 20 points in the festival playlist. Well worth getting, especially since it is a new vehicle to the Forza series. It's only the second new GMC we've had for a long time in one of these Forza games. I think you have to go back to the Forza Motorsport 4 to find other GMCs that we've not had in a game for a while. But yeah, like I said, it is well worth getting, and like I said, you can also take off the roof if you so wish. So yeah, you can have that open top experience out on the open road as well. So yeah, you don't have to just look at it in the festival, look at it in the Forza Vista mode with its roof off. You can also have it out in the open in the free roam. So yeah, but nonetheless, thank you for watching, and I'll see you with the next one. Bye.